Once upon a time, in a small village surrounded by green hills and flowing rivers, there lived a beggar named Ishaq. He was known by everyone, not because of kindness or talent, but because of his laziness. Ishaq never liked to work. From sunrise to sunset, he would sit under the same old banyan tree near the village market, stretching his legs and waiting for people to drop coins into his rusty bowl. Every morning, villagers would see him yawning, scratching his head, and muttering, "Ah, working is for fools. Why should I tire myself when people give me food for free?" The villagers often pitied him and offered him food out of kindness. But some grew tired of his laziness. One man once told him, "Ishaq, why don't you find a small job? Even cleaning the temple or carrying water could earn you a living." But Ishaq just laughed and said, "Why should I? My bowl and this banyan tree are enough for me. The world owes me a living." And with that, he would roll over and go back to sleep. One morning, the entire village was buzzing with excitement. The royal messenger rode into the marketplace, blowing a golden trumpet. "Hear ye! Hear ye! The king has announced that he will reward 1,000 gold coins to anyone who can bring him a truly hardworking man." The villagers gathered in groups, whispering and wondering who among them was the most hardworking. But Ishaq, half asleep under his tree, laughed to himself. 1,000 gold coins. Ha! That's too much work for me. Let others chase gold, I'll chase sleep. However, as the days went by, he noticed how the villagers prepared to go to the palace. Even his friend Hari, a poor farmer, was going. Ishaq scratched his chin. "If I could somehow make the king believe I'm hardworking, I'd never have to beg again." So, for the first time in his life, Ishaq made a plan. The next morning, Ishaq took an old broken hoe and a dirty piece of cloth. He rubbed dust all over his face to look tired and sweaty. Then he walked to the palace gates, pretending to limp. The guards stopped him. "Who are you?" "I'm Ishaq, the hardest worker in my village," he said proudly, though his eyes were half asleep. The guards laughed but let him in since the king had ordered everyone to get a chance. When Ishaq entered the grand palace hall, he was amazed. The floors sparkled like mirrors, golden lamps lit the walls, and the king sat on a shining throne. The king looked at Ishaq and asked kindly, "So, my good man, what kind of work do you do?" Ishaq bowed deeply and replied, "Your Majesty, I work from dawn till dusk. I plant crops, carry wood, and fetch water. My hands never rest." The king smiled but said nothing. Then he turned to his minister and whispered, "Let's test this man's truth." The minister gave Ishaq a simple order. "Go to the royal garden. There's a pile of dry leaves there. Carry them to the other side of the garden before sunset." Ishaq's face fell. "Carry leaves? But I haven't eaten all day." The minister replied, "Finish the work, and you'll be given food and gold." Ishaq sighed and dragged himself to the garden. He picked up a handful of leaves, looked at the far end of the garden, and muttered, "That's too far. I'll do it later." He lay down under a tree, closed his eyes, and soon began to snore loudly. Hours passed. When the sun began to set, the king himself came to the garden. He saw Ishaq fast asleep beside the untouched pile of leaves. The king shook his head and smiled. "So, this is the hardworking man." When Ishaq woke up, he saw the king standing there. Frightened, he fell to his knees. "Forgive me, your majesty. I was only resting for a moment." The king said calmly, "My dear Ishaq, laziness is the biggest thief of all. It steals your time, your chances, and your dignity. Do you know what you have earned today?" Ishaq swallowed hard. "Gold, your majesty." The king smiled sadly. You've earned a lesson." Then he ordered the guards to give Ishaq a small loaf of bread and send him away. Ishaq walked back to his village slowly, holding his bread. Everyone was laughing at him. Hari, his farmer friend, met him and said, "So, did the king make you rich?" Ishaq looked down and whispered, "No, he made me wise." From that day, something changed in Ishaq. The king's words kept echoing in his head. Laziness steals your life. The next morning, for the first time ever, he did not sit under the banyan tree. Instead, he went to Hari's field and said, "Brother, can I help you today? Maybe I can carry water." Hari was surprised but happy. He gave Ishaq a small pot and said, "If you truly wish to work, you're welcome." At first, Ishaq's hands trembled. The pot felt heavy, the sun was hot, and his legs ached. But Hari encouraged him. "Every great man starts with small steps, Ishaq. Keep going. Day by day, Ishaq became stronger. He worked beside Hari, sowing seeds, watering crops, and even cleaning the cowshed. Slowly, the villagers stopped mocking him. Some even praised him. Look at Ishaq. The lazy beggar has become the hardworking farmer. And one day, when Ishaq sold his first harvest in the market, he smiled proudly. I earned this with my own hands, he said. That night, he looked up at the stars and whispered,